Bibliophiles of the internet, my name is Avri, and today I'm here to bring you the Black History Month book tag. I first saw this on Ashley's channel, Bookish Realm, and also Lucy's channel, Lucy Reads, and it was originally created by Helene from Books with Lanes. All of them are fantastic. They will be linked down below. Definitely check them out and patronize that click. This is a short and sweet, straight up and down book tag with 7 questions, so let's just jump right in. Number 1, what is a book that everyone should be reading during Black History Month? Name one fiction book and one non-fiction book. Naming just one book is such a challenge, so if I have more than one answer to a question, I will just leave a list of other books to check out in the description box downstairs. But for fiction, I'm gonna go with one of the OGs who brings me so much joy, so I'm gonna have to say How to Be Remy Cameron by Julian Winters. How to Be Remy Cameron is an Own Voices queer contemporary story about Remy Cameron, who's assigned to write an essay about who he is, and he realizes he doesn't really have an answer to that question. As a queer, black, adopted young man who's pretty universally well-liked, he sits at the intersection of many different experiences, and he goes through a bit of a crisis trying to figure out who he really is underneath the labels that everyone else sees. I always say that Remy Cameron is an absolutely incredible examination of intersectionality, and it is one of the most heartfelt, thoughtful, and worthwhile coming-of-age narratives because it understands the journey of coming to learn that we are the ones who get to define ourselves. It's about wearing our differences as badges of honor, finding power in those differences, and realizing that we are all deserving of love exactly as we are. I'll say it again, if you're not reading Julian Winters, you've made the wrong choice. For nonfiction, I'm gonna go with Hunger by Roxane Gay. This is a phenomenal memoir in which Roxane Gay openly discusses her relationship with food and her body, how she moves through the world as a fat black queer woman, and how she understands the connection between consumption, desire, internalization, and appearance. It's such a deeply personal collection of essays in which Roxane Gay truly lays herself bare, and it left me feeling breathless with its accuracy and its honesty. I absolutely recommend it. Number 2, which black booktuber would you recommend watching and why? Ashley pretty much covered all my faves, but they're definitely worth repeating. I'll actually start with Ashley herself. She is an incredible creator. She's a librarian, so she reads a lot, and she pretty much reads everything across the board. She's extremely knowledgeable, thoughtful, and passionate about books, and that comes through in all of her videos. Brie from Locked Booktition is fantastic as well. She's hilarious and personable. She makes great reels and TikToks that are so well loved by so many people. She reads thrillers and romance and nonfiction and everything in between, and she is not afraid to tell you exactly what she thinks. Obviously, Njeri from Onyx Pages is an absolute icon. She is very clear about her purpose and her interest, and she has painstakingly made herself into an incredible resource for Afrofuturistic works. Njeri puts so much thought into what she reads and what she creates, and so I have a lot of admiration for her as well. There's one of my best booktube friends, Starla from Starla Reads, who not only has incredible taste, if I may say so myself, because there's a lot of overlap between us, but also makes incredible review videos, incredible wrap-ups, and is also on the up and up when it comes to keeping people informed about new releases. Gosh, there's so many. There's Chloe from Thistle and Verse, who does amazing single reviews. There's Brittany from Melanin Eclectic, who is not only a booktuber, but runs this amazing small business where she designs and sells stationery and planner stuff, which I will link down below. There's Oshile from Oshi Reads, who is unapologetic in her love of black romance. There's Jessie from Bowties and Books, who is a non-binary icon and does a really great series about black girl magic books. There's Olivia from I Livy Simone, who not only does incredible concise reviews, but who is an awesome artist as well with her series about defacing books. There's really more than I can name. I will link everyone I mentioned down below, as well as everyone from Ashley's list as well, and a few more for good measure because I love them and I love to watch them all, and you should as well. Number 3, what is your favorite book written by a black author from an African country? I think I'm gonna go with My Sister the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Braithwaite. This is a really short, fast-paced thriller and domestic drama. It's about Korede, whose sister has a habit of dating good-for-nothing men and then killing them, and Korede is used to cleaning up her sister's messes in a very literal sense. That's the way it's always been between them, and for Korede, family will always come first. That is, until her sister starts dating Korede's workplace crush. There is so much to think about in this story, and it just does not let up on the tension. It has so much to say about loyalty, family ties, and the push and pull dynamic between the enabled and the enabler. It's a really great read, and I definitely recommend it. Number 4, what is your favorite black classic? When I think classic, I think of names like Toni Morrison, Langston Hughes, James Baldwin, Zora Neale Hurston, but I also think of Octavia Butler, and I think a standout book of hers would be Parable of the Sower, which is the first book in the Earthseed series. It's a dystopian, speculative story that imagines a world that's been destroyed by disease, war, water crises, and the main character, Lauren, lives in one of the only remaining safe neighborhoods in the outskirts of Los Angeles. When their compound is destroyed in a fire, she is forced out into a world that is merciless and dangerous, dangerous, and she also has a condition known as hyperempathy, which means she's extremely sensitive to other people's pain and emotions. I still think about this book because it is scarily prophetic, and all the cold shots Octavia took when she wrote this book back in the 90s were painfully accurate back when I studied this book in college, and I imagine it would be even more chilling to read now in the 2020s. It's such a powerful and striking story about survival, found family, and the ways we create, sustain, and imagine life. I know that Kindred gets a lot of attention, but I think if you're looking to get into Octavia Butler, this would be a great place to start. Number 5, which movie / book-to-movie adaptation / documentary would you recommend watching during Black History Month? There's a few things that come to mind, so I'm going to start with possibly my favorite movie of all time, which is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Obviously, this was adapted from the Marvel Comics, of which there are too many to name, but even if you don't like comic book adaptations, even if you don't like superhero movies, you have to watch this flick. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse not only stars the superior incarnation of Spider-Man, aka the incredible Afro-Latinx Miles Morales, but it is an incredible coming-of-age narrative about stepping into your destiny by learning how to be yourself instead of the person you think you should be. It is an absolute triumph of animation, of art, of creativity, of innovation, of storytelling. It is a very self-aware film that uses the convention of multiverse comics in such a unique way to tell one of the absolute best stories of self-empowerment. There's also a somewhat related book written by Jason Reynolds that I think is simply called Miles Morales, so if you enjoy the character and want to read more about him, there's also that. My second recommendation would be Just Mercy, which was adapted from Bryan Stevenson's memoir of the same name and stars Michael B. Jordan. Obviously, it's a true story about systemic racism and injustice within the prison system. I saw it in theaters last year, and I found it to be a powerful adaptation of a really insightful memoir, which is kind of hard to pull off, and I definitely also recommend the book. My last recommendation is a much broader interpretation of the word adaptation, but I had to include it, and that is the recent dramatic reading of All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. So not only has George's incredible memoir been optioned as a TV series by Gabrielle Union, but they recently staged this dramatic reading of the book where 3 actors read 3 chapters from All Boys Aren't Blue, and there's a visual component for each section as well, and it is fantastic. I will include a link to the full reading and following discussion down below, and I highly encourage you to give that a watch. Number 6, what's on your TBR for Black History Month? I have more things on my TBR than I can possibly read in 1 month. I'm not going to name everything that's on my list, but currently, as of filming this, I'm trying to finish up Fledgling by Octavia Butler and Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. I'm really trying to prioritize Black joy this month, so I would love to get to some middle grade like Ways to Make Sunshine by Renee Watson, Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Elston, and maybe some contemporary romance like Charming as a Verb by Ben Philippe, and hopefully many more exciting books. And finally, number 7, which 2021 releases by Black authors are you looking forward to the most? Oh my gosh, once again, so many more than I can possibly name, but top of the list has to be Rise to the Sun by Leah Johnson. Leah absolutely killed it with her debut, and it's been so awesome to watch her success. She's just an amazing person as well who cares so much about her work, and I'm so ready for this very queer, very Black music festival romance. I'm also highly anticipating Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. This one's actually coming out very soon. I have it pre-ordered already because so many of my friends came to me like, this book is for you. So I'm listening, friends, I'm listening. The order has been placed. It's a queer adult romance about a newly graduated young woman who goes to Vegas and drunkenly marries a girl she doesn't know, and then it's about what happens afterwards as they try and figure out their mess. I'm also counting down the days to Sorrowland by River Solomon. This is Fair newest book coming out in May. It's queer and gothic, and it's about this pregnant woman who flees this religious compound she's been trapped in her whole life, and then she gives birth in the forest and undergoes this strange metamorphosis where her body is racked with inexplicable and powerful changes. River Solomon has never once led me astray with fair books. I will read absolutely anything Faye writes. Again, I could name so many more, but I'm also dying to read Meet Cute Diary by Emery Lee. It's another queer romance about Noah, who runs a blog called Meet Cute Diary, which is a collection of trans happily ever after stories. It's become a huge source of hope for people on the internet, but the problem is all the stories are fake. When a troll threatens to expose the truth behind the blog, Noah realizes he needs to convince everyone the those stories are true, so he decides the best way to save his blog is to fake date a guy named Drew. This is gonna be great. I've heard it's such an unapologetically cute, fun, and sweet trans romance, and I feel like we could all use more of those in our lives. So those are all the questions for the Black History Month book tag. If you would like to do this tag yourself, consider yourself tagged, and feel free to share your own answers to these questions down below in the comments. But that's everything I have for this tag today. Until next time, educate yourself, be kind to yourself, take care of yourself, and I will catch you on the flip side of the page.